guaranteed the community of Mason that they're going to always get our best physical effort. And I'm waiting for it for a long time, guys. I'm waiting for it for a long time. I believe in you 100%. There's no doubt in my mind we walk out of here. If we do what we're supposed to do, we win this game. And we need all 69 of us. Hutch, all 69 of us, Miller.
Hello and welcome to Dwyer Field at Atrium Stadium. You are watching ICRC TV Sports along with Comet TV. I am Joey Dean alongside my partner, Brian Hudnell. We are live from Dwyer Field. Brian, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great here. We have a home opener here for the Mason Comets. Both teams are riding off a 1-0 victory in their season openers. Mason's coming off a 31-21 win against Springboro. They're looking to bring their momentum here in the home opener.
Now, Brian, we don't have the best of weather tonight, but it is a good football. It is the first day of September. We got about 55 degrees down on the field. It is pouring, and while it might not be the best situation for the fans, the players love playing in chilly weather like this.
Players love it. It's going to be difficult for catching passes, holding on to the ball, but we're going to pause here for the national anthem.
Making their home opener tonight here at Atrium Field. It has been a long time coming since the Comets last took this field in 2016, taking down the Elder Panthers in the first ever Division I playoff win for the Comets by a final score of 21-20. And a new team out there tonight. New group of seniors, Team 56 this year around. You see the black hole on your screen now, and always great energy from the black hole, and strong coming out for a rainy day like today.
Black hole looks very energetic here in the Comets are taking the field, about to take out the field, but they're excited to come back here and return to their fans, and if they're taking the field, they look energized and ready to go.
Right after this, we will be back with the Mason Comets and Withrow Tigers, 1-0 versus 1-0 here in Week 2. We will be right back with the action of tonight's game.
fires it out, and it is intercepted again.
He's up off the nose. He's got it in wide open down the left sideline. He gets the edge. He stiff arms a couple of tacklers. Look at this. What a hit. That is a great play. He's got a receiver. He's got it deep. Oh, what an interception. Wow. He's got an opening. Got past the second level. One man to beat.
We welcome you back here to Dwyer Field at Atrium Stadium with some somber news. For the fourth straight year, the Mason Comets home opening football game will be delayed by lightning. Just happened a few moments ago. The Comets were already on the field. Withrow was about to make their way out to the field, and we noticed some lightning in the distance, and that's going to give us at least a 30-minute delay here in Comet Country.
Yeah, and we've had several games in our area either been postponed or probably on delay as well.
And so the unluck started for the Comets back in 2014 when they took on the Springboro Panthers here at Dwyer Field. It was a 2-hour lightning delay during halftime of that game, and the Comets came back and dropped that one at home. And then 2 years ago, it was the week 2 against Upper Arlington. It was moved to Saturday night. Last year, it was another home opener against Springboro, and that was also moved to Saturday morning after we waited around probably about an hour and a half after the scheduled start of the game before they officially called it off for the next morning. We are going to take a quick break after this lightning delay. We'll try to get right back once the players are back out onto the field. So we will be back after the break. Just back from a lightning delay. The fourth year in a row, the Comets have to wait a little bit longer to get their home opener rolling, but the Black Hole is ready, the fans are ready, and we are ready for some football. Withrow lining up to kick. I am Joe Dean alongside my partner, Brian, and now you are watching ICRC TV Sports along with Comet TV. Comets are receiving the opening kickoff and will have the ball first to start this game off. Line drive kick goes to Canoe through his legs and goes out of the back of the end zone for a touchback.
The ball almost skipped up and hit Canoe in the leg, but he got out of the way. And the Comets will start here on the 25-yard line for their first drive of the game. We have this season, senior Will Adams has kind of won the QB battle in the offseason. He's taken over from Jake Harris, and he can do it all. He can run it, pass it, and he's still kind of learning the position, but each game as we go, I'm expecting him to get better and better as we go.
Now, Brian, the Comets had their struggles at times last week against Springboro, but this is a team that hung 48 on these Withrow Tigers a year ago.
Absolutely.
Adams looks to pass out of the gun, goes to Sora on the right side, and a big play to start the game off for the Comets.
Looked like Sora there was just running a simple little bubble route out of the backfield, and no one picked him up. As he'll move the chains there, and he had a huge run last week against Springboro for a 61-yard touchdown. So he's a big playmaker on this Comet offense, and he's prone to break one in any play.
He's also looking a little bit banged up at the end of the game last week, so it's nice to see him out healthy to start this one. 1st and 10 from the 38 for the Comets. 8 seconds into this one. Withrow jumps on the second play of the game.
And it looks like Adams had the hard count there, and at least 6 or 7 Tigers jumped off sides, and it'll be a 5-yard penalty for Withrow, and it'll be 1st and 5 for the Comets. So right off the bat, the Comets are showing discipline here.
Now the Comets moved from the wing tee to more of a spread offense, which ensues more passing than they did a year ago, but this is still a team that will run mostly behind the legs of Matt Sora.
They ran the ball 47 times in last week's win against Springboro.
Straight up the middle to Sora, and he is hit in the backfield hard back at the 40, which will bring up 2nd and medium.
Offensive line got blown back 2-3 yards there, and the Withrow defensive line was able to get some good penetration there in the backfield, and Sora stopped for a loss of 2. And it looks like Hutchinson and Knapp will check into the game, and Knapp has his role is kind of lessened here with this spread offense, as he was the big blocker in the wing tee, but he scored in the touchdown pass last week against Burrow, a 7-yard touchdown catch. So he's still relied upon in this offense.
Two wide receivers set. Adams going to hand it off to Knapp, who dances across the 40 and is going to gain a couple yards on the play.
And nothing doing there. It looked like it was sore. They had a little cut inside for a gain of a few. And it'll be 3rd and 7 here for the Comets. And they were 8 of 14 on 3rd down last week in Spurrow, almost 57%. And see if they can convert here to start this game.
4 wide receivers set, including one Tanner Canoe, who had a great week last Friday night.
A 63-yard touchdown catch, and he provided a spark there in that Springboro game.
Brought the Comets back from 14 to 3 down, kept them in the game, and Comets didn't look back. Will Adams looking to throw. Dances around now, steps up into the play, looking for Sora. Falls incomplete. Comets will punt football away after a very successful first play. Offense stalls on the second set of downs.
And it looked like the Withrow defensive line was able to get past a few of their assignments. They were able to cause pressure on Adams, and Adams kind of had to throw that into some good coverage there by the Withrow secondary, but it'll be 4th and 7 here for the Comets. And it looks like Reed Naglish is back for punting duties for the Comets, as he was out last game for punter.
Hurt up his leg a little bit. He's also the starting linebacker for the Comets, along with number 50, Jake Bratcher. Naglish handles the high snap, gets it away clean, and a great punt. Will fall and bounce and picked up off the bounce before it will be corralled back at the 26-yard line.
There was Jawan Bates on the return there. It wasn't able to get much there as the Comets field team was able to get him there. The Withrow Tigers will start here at the 26-yard line. And let's see what the Withrow Tigers here have in store after their defense giving them a stop.
Comets gave up 2 first-quarter touchdowns last week before holding the Springboro Panthers scoreless for nearly the entire game before kind of a garbage time touchdown late in the 4th to make it 31-21 instead of the Comet 31-14 lead. Number 18, DeJohn Walker in the shotgun for the Tigers. Pitches it to the outside. And a gain of a few on first down.
And good contained there by the Comet defense, making them cut inside there. And it looks like it was a pretty good gain, actually. A gain of 5, gain of 6 there. And it will be 2nd and 4 here for the Tigers.
Scoreboard is going to give them a gain of 7. 2nd and 3 from the 35. That was number 8, Sebastian Lewis on the carry. Four wide receiver set for the Tigers. Looks like the Tigers are trying to repeat what the Comets did, drawing them off sides. And we got a flag on the play. And it's going to go against the Withrow Tigers, which will back up and erase the majority of that first down carry.
Looked like we had a little bit of an early movement there by the line, but the Tigers would back up 5 yards, and it'll be 2nd and 8 here instead of 2nd and 3. Penalties are going to be crucial in this game because if Withrow wants to beat the highly favored Comets, but not a good start for that penalty, especially early in the game.
Comets struggled with penalties at times last week, really killed their momentum at times, and prevented a couple first downs. Walker in the pistol, looking to throw, goes out into the flats, missed tackle, and almost enough yardage for a first down. I think it's going to bring out 3rd and short.
Pierce was able to get into the backfield and trying to get a tackle behind the line of scrimmage, but it looked like he slipped off there. Malik Brown had a very good move there and had a little stiff arm, put a stiff arm on Pierce. He's one of the more sure tackles on this Comet defense, but he missed the tackle there, and almost there for the first down. It would be 3rd and 3 for the Tigers.
Cole Pierce usually coming up from the safety position. As it's going to be 3rd and 3 from the 35-yard line. Walker out of the shotgun. Goes pitch out wide. And that's going to be close to a first down. I'm not sure if he got it.
The Tigers were lined up in a bunch right formation there, allowed their receivers to block the outside. They had to pitch to Lewis, but looked like it was only a gain of 1, if that. Well, they got the first down, and they've moved the chains there. It was a very close run there, but the officials are moving the chains, and it'll be 1st and 10 for the Withrow Tigers.
Tyron Mincy, the ball carrier on the play, able to fall forward for enough yardage in the 1st down.
I like what I've seen from Mincy. He's very shifty. He's broken a few tackles on this Comet defense, so the Comets need to break down and contain him to make sure he doesn't break off a big play here for the Withrow Tigers.
Withrow really liking this bunch formation with the 3 wide receivers. Now a man in motion, and a ball is down on the play. I think he fell onto it, and it will remain Withrow possession, but a little bit of a mistimed snap there as Malik Brown was coming across the formation.
Malik Brown was in motion before the snap, and looks like Walker got the snap late, and they tried to hand it off before, but the ball came loose. Luckily for the Tigers, Brown was able to fall on it, but that's a loss of about 4 or 5 on the play there for the Tigers.
Moves them back to the 34-yard line where they'll have 2nd and 14. Walker, it's going to be a handoff up the middle. Not much there, and a tough 3rd and long coming up for the Tigers.
Looks like it was a halfback draw there. They had the bunch wide formation out on the left side, so looks like the Tigers like that bunch formation, spreads the defense out and provides blockers on the outside. But they ran the ball inside there, and not much doing there. It's a gain of 2 for Mincy there, but nothing doing there for the Comets. It would be 3rd and 12 here for the Tigers.
Comet secondary looking to be tested on 3rd and long. 2 receivers to each side for Walker. Lines up in the pistol, goes to the slot, and that'll be nowhere near a 1st down.
And Jake Orlando was the right side cornerback there. He was able to bring Withrow down there on only a gain of 1 for the Tigers, and that was a great show of tackling by Nigro there to prevent the play from breaking out to a big one. So it'll be 4th and 13 here for the Tigers.
Comets got Jack Linsig and Connor Gary back for the punt return. And a bad snap over the head of the punter. He's able to fall on it back in the 11, and that's going to be a turnover on downs, and the Comets are going to have excellent field position on their 2nd series.
Huge break there for the Comets as they'll start from the 11-yard line, and this could bring some huge energy here to begin this game. And if you're the Withrow Tigers here, you got to avoid mistakes like that if you want to beat a talented team like the Comets. And as the Comets take the field, they're in great position to strike early.
And that is 2 near turnovers for the Tigers. I mean, the turnover on downs might as well be a turnover, fumble in the opposite direction. But that is 2 mishandled snaps in the 1st series of the Tigers. If they want to compete with this Comet team, they need to fix that up quickly. Adams with 3 wide receivers wide to the left, going to hand it off to Soar with some room on the right, trying to get to the edge, stumbles and falls inside the 5-yard line.
And they ran that read option here. That's been very popular in this spread offense that the Comets like to run. It's a good game plan. It's a good tool that they use, as Adams is very mobile as well. So it's something to keep the defense on their feet. But it looks like Sora would have had that touchdown, but he got a little tripped up there, and he fell for an extra 3 or 4 yards. But 2nd and 4 here on the goal line.
Adams won the job because of 2 rushing touchdowns in the scrimmage against Oak Hills 2 weeks ago. Adams in a 2 wide receiver set, going to hand it off to Sora again, trying to get to the edge, cuts back across the 5, dancing inside the 5, and that's going to be a touchdown. Sora finding the end zone.
Matt Sora was trying to get a sprint to the sideline, but he cut inside and turned his defender around, and he was able to break into the goal line, and the Comets strike first here in this ball game. Nice run there by Matt Sora. He's one of the more dependable players here on the Comets, and we can rely on him week in, week out.
Sora finally finding the end zone after last year against Withrow. He rushed for 122 yards, but yet 3 rushing touchdowns all went to Michael Cope, who now plays for the University of Cincinnati.
Cope only had 8 carries in that game, but he had 3 touchdowns. But Sora definitely did a lot of the work in that game.
Some yellow laundry on the field on the extra point. Charlie Sipe, the kicker for the Comets. And an offsides penalty goes against the Tigers, which will be declined. And the kick will go through and good to give the Mason Comets a 7-0 lead here with 5 minutes and 17 seconds remaining in the opening quarter.
That was a nice possession there by the Comets, being able to strike early. Matt Storer looked very good on that drive as he made some good moves there. And the Comets are looking very explosive here starting this game. And that was a nice early drive to get up on this Withrow Tiger team. And let's see how Withrow responds after that first drive. And it actually looks like the Comets are coming back on the field. So maybe
I think they're going to call that the penalty occurred before the snap, and thus the penalty has to be either there is no continuation of the play since the penalty occurred before the snap.
So Sipe will have a less distance to kick here for this extra point.
Sipe perfect last week against Springboro, 4 for 4 from the point after, and he's good once again.
And there was a lot of questions in the offseason on how the Comets were going to replace senior kicker Andrew Hauer. And so far, so good. Early in the season, Sipe has made his extra points. He had a blocked kick last week against Springboro, but that wasn't all his fault, as there was a lot of pressure there on his kick. But I've liked what I've seen from Sipe, and I think Comet Country has as well.
And he made a 35-yard field goal in the first quarter. Pressure put on him right off the bat to knock one through, and he came through. The one that was blocked was just a win by the Springboro defensive line, and really wasn't all his fault, as he's been very reliable to start this season.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, he's got a lot of more years to learn the position, but he's shown to be pretty dependable so far. As the year goes on, you only get better as he's ready to set up the kickoff here for the Comets.
Sipe from the 40. A couple times against Springboro, he went with more of a pooch kick. This one goes deep. It's Malik Brown for the Tigers, and he'll be stopped at the 25-yard line.
Nowhere to go for Brown, as the Comet kickoff team was able to fill in their gaps in their assignments, and really he had nowhere to go. He was trying to make moves, but the Comets remained strong, and were able to tackle him at the 24-yard line, as it will be 1st and 10 for the Tigers. 5:10 left here in this first quarter, and let's see how Withrow responds after giving up that fumble on the punt.
They showed that they could move the ball against the Comets. They got a first down with some ease before the fumble on the snap really kind of put them in a hole they couldn't dig themselves out of. Walker hands it off after a delay, and that'll fall forward for a gain of maybe 1.
Short gain there for the Tigers, as the defensive line, multiple Comet defensive linemen swarmed the ball carrier, and not much doing there for the Tigers, as there will be 2nd and 9 from the 25. And this Comet defensive line has looked pretty good so far.
Second and 8 for the Tigers. Man in motion. It's going to be a handoff across the field. I believe it's Malik Brown on the jet sweep. A late fly coming in, as the ball might have come loose, but we're going to wait on the flag. The official kind of waiting to give it to the Comets. Jake Brasher came up with the football, and the Tigers are jogging to the sideline. We're going to wait on the flag, which was a holding against the Tigers, and just like that, the Comets are going to be given the ball right back.
And another turnover here for the Tigers. And the Comets are getting great field position once again. And if you want to beat a team like the Comets with talent on both sides of the football, you got to limit your mistakes. And looks like the ball popped out there at the very end. It looks like Pierce was on the initial tackle that forced a fumble. And it looks like the Comets are going to have another great field position drive here and see if they can extend their lead.
Malik Brown looked like he was trying to point at the ground, saying that he was down before the ball came out, but Cole Pierce on the tackle there forced the ball out. Comets come out with 4 wide. Gary across the field gets the jet sweep. No, Adams took it himself, and he'll get down to the 20-yard line for a gain of 9 on the quarterback keeper.
This read option is very deceptive as Gary drew a lot of the Withrow defenders, and you got to be on your feet at all times when defending the read option, because if you miss an assignment here and there, it can create a huge play for the offense. And Adams showed that he can very well make some great plays, as he ran the ball 15 times against Springboro last week. So he's a threat to run it at every single play. And it looks like Jake Harris is checking into the ball game. So let's see what he does here and how the offense will change.
He did come into the game last year against Withrow at the end, once it was already a blowout, and senior quarterback Preston Hutchinson had taken a seat. Comes into the game with 4 wide receivers on the field. Sora behind him. And he's just going to hand it off to Sora, who will push forward for a first down.
And the O-line there got a good push there for the Comets, as Sora had a lot of holes and lanes to choose from, and that'll be enough for the first down, as looks like Harris is going off to the sideline as Will Adams comes back into the game. So it'll be interesting to see how the Comets use their quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks have had experience this year, last year and this year, so it'll be interesting to see how the Comets switch through quarterbacks this year. So they have 2 very capable quarterbacks.
First and 10 from the 15 for Adams. He's going to keep it himself, rolling out to the right now, looking to throw. And the catch is not made. It's going to fall onto the turf, incomplete for a second down. And if we can, I think we're going to throw it down to the sideline. Our sideline reporter today is Aiden Crowley. And what do you have for us, Aiden?
Well, that was one of the first passes we've seen in this game, and I expect it to be a lot of runs. This weather obviously is not ideal for passing. It's cold, the ball's wet, and it's slippery, and I think the Mason defense is expecting that rush, as Withrow is running the ball just about as much as the Comets are.
Adams finding some room, gets past the 5, goes to the corner for the end zone. Touchdown, Comets.
Great block there on the outside by number 9, Austin Croy, as he took 2 defenders out of the equation there and had created a wide open lane there for Will Adams, as that was an explosive run by Adams. Really showed his speed on the outside, and he has looked impressive at the start this game, and the Comets have taken a 2-possession lead.
Looked like he almost stumbled as he left the backfield. He had a run against Sycamore where he pulled the read option for himself, had a wide open side of the field, might have gone for a touchdown, but he got hit by the turf monsters. That looks like a bad snap. The holder, which is usually Adams, and looked like he might not have gotten the hold down, so it's going to be kept at a 13-0 score, and Charlie Sipe not given a chance to get the point after.
Yeah, it looked like a low snap there. Adams tried to repossess the ball there, but he was unable to do so as he got up quickly. And the score will remain 13-0 here for the Comets, and it'll be 3:08 left here in the first quarter, as it's been all Comets here to start this game.
A 3-minute stretch where the Comets score back-to-back touchdowns. And in football, it is very easy to score points very quickly when the opponent is handing you the ball off of a turnover, and you're getting great field position, and you have an offense with explosive players like Sora and Adams, like the Comets do.
And the Comets have more playmakers than that, too. They have Croy and Tanner Canoe as well, if they choose to go their way. But, yeah, absolutely. You have a team with so much talent on the offensive side with many playmakers. You got to avoid your mistakes, and Withrow needs to do that.
Sipe kind of drops it in inside the 30. It's picked up by number 3, Jawan Bates, and he makes his way across the 35 to give the Tigers decent field position, but it's just going to be a question of can they hold onto the ball.
And it looked like they tried to do like a little pooch kick there. They did that a lot in the Springboro game last week. So it looks like that'll be a common theme on kickoffs this year for the Comets, as maybe Sipe doesn't have the kicking power to get all the way to near the end zone. So maybe they can create some turnover opportunities on the pooch kick. But this will give Withrow their best field position to start, as they'll start at the 37-yard line. So we'll see what they can do with it.
Come up with 3 wide receivers to that short side of the field, and Walker is going to take it himself but fall over the line of scrimmage.
It looked like Casey Miller, the defensive end, was able to bring down Walker, as he
just kind of tripped him up.
had a little trip up there, but only a gain of 1. It'll be 2nd and 9 for the Tigers at the 38. Let's see what the Tigers would do to kind of break through and see if they can bring up a big play here to get some momentum back.
Walker on 2nd and 9. Trying to communicate with his sideline, and I think he ran out of time. It's going to be a delay of game penalty against the Tigers.
And the main gripe on the Withrow Tigers is their turnovers and penalties, as this was a common theme in last year's game as well. So if they want to kind of claw their way back in this game, they got to avoid those penalties and turnovers, as they're often a direct correlation to a win or loss. As it will be 2nd and 14 at the 33-yard line for the Withrow Tigers.
Same formation. 3 wide receivers to the short side of the field. Walker looking to throw. Deep drop back. Looked like they were trying to set up a screen. Now it's a throw back across the field, and that is nowhere near the intended target.
And there's
Looked like they're trying to go back to Tyron Mincy.
Yeah, Walker rolled out to the right side of the field and turned around and tried to throw it back to the other side of the field, but it looked like he threw it too far in front of him as he was trying to avoid the backward pass, as if that ball was behind him, it would have been another fumble opportunity there. But, yeah, the execution on that play wasn't there, and it'll be 3rd and long here for the Tigers.
Walker and Mincy not on the same page. 3rd and 14, another tough 3rd down for the Tigers. Walker drops back, under pressure, fires it away. That's going to come up short and be intercepted at the 50-yard line.
And Brasher provided a big hit on Walker as the Comets were able to secure the interception. Number 19, Dominic Nigro, who had the great tackle last possession. And he has had a pretty good game to start this quarter here. And Nigro it was an underthrown ball. He was able to cut the route off and get the interception, and it will be 1st and 10 here for the Comets at the 49-yard line, and another turnover here by this Comets defense.
And Brian, that is 3 turnovers in the last 4 minutes plus for the Comets, for the Tigers, and they are just going to set up the Comets once again to have a quick strike here. And Walker saw Brasher and looks like he just tried to fire that one away, but didn't have the arm strength behind it to get it deep enough. Adams, man in motion, but he'll take it himself, gets across the 45 and dragged down after a gain of 8. Just another solid QB run for Adams.
He's always a threat every play, and with Canoe in motion, that really distracted the defense, as we know what he's capable of from the Springboro game. He's very explosive, so I'm pretty sure the Tigers saw that play last week, and they were weary of Canoe's speed and playmaking ability, so they all went for Canoe, and Adams pulled in and was able to get a pretty nice chunk, 7-yard QB run for Adams.
Comes out in the pistol with 2 wide receivers. He's going to hand it off right up the middle to Sora, who gets across the 35, dragging guys across the 30. He's still free. 20 inside, and the flag will come down. Could be a hold, but inside the 20 to the 15-yard line is Matt Sora rumbling through the Withrow Tigers.
It looked like Sora was cutting back to the field, but he cut back to the outside, making the defenders miss, and he kept his feet moving and broke a few tackles there, but it looks like a penalty could be bringing this back, and it will. It looked like a block it looked like a holding on this Comets offense. But great run there by Sora, but it'll be negated by the holding penalty on the Comets.
It should go from the spot of the foul, so the Comets should get some yardage out of the rush. The official spotted it at the 38-yard line, and that will still move the chains for the Comets. So they're going to have 1st and 10 from the Withrow 38-yard line, as once again we are all witnesses of Sora's explosiveness and toughness.
He always just keeps his feet moving, and that allows him to extend plays and break some tackles. And it looks like number 3, Logan Dalton, has checked into the ball game, so we might see a lot of new faces here on this Comet offense. Logan Dalton didn't have a huge role last year, but with Kopay graduating, there's some movement in this Comet backfield this year.
Kastner yelling out. I think the play clock ran out again Kastner saw it roll down to 2-1-0, and he was screaming out right at those last seconds to get the ball off. And as you mentioned, Logan Dalton had a few carries last week against the Panthers when that game was all but put away, and the Comets didn't want to risk the injury of Sora. He also had some action as the backup punter and in substitution of Reed Naglish.
Looks like Dalton will run back to the sideline as Sora checks back in. And with that delay of game penalty on Adams, that's just learning the position. He's going to become more and more aware of these kind of situations. And so
running it down to 5 seconds again. Adams now going on the screen to Sora. He's got two blockers in front of him across the 35 to the 30. Still got guys in front of him inside the 20, 15, 10. And he's going to be pushed out inside the 5-yard line. And just more yards from scrimmage for Matt Sora.
Adams had a lot of pressure in his face, which allowed the screen pass to really develop there. And as Sora had a lot of field to the run, and he had a lot of blockers downfield, whether it's the receivers or the offensive line getting out there. But Sora had a lot of running lanes to run through. And as he got to the 4-yard line, this would be 1st and goal here for the Comets as they're in striking distance of another touchdown.
Looked like he had number 72 center Buzz Krogan and number 67 Emmerich Moser downfield blocking ahead for Sora. Comets with 4 wide receivers on the field. Sora behind Adams. It's going to be a handoff, but Adams keeps it, and he is dragged out of bounds for a loss of a couple.
Looks like Adams could have given Sora that ball. There was a wide open hole for Sora to run through, but Adams decides to keep it, and it was a race to the sideline, and it was good contained there by the Withrow defense, as it was actually a loss of a yard there for the Comets, and it'll be 2nd and 5.
Adams ran out of space. He's running on the weak side of the field, ball in the left hash. This handoff goes to Sora, and he has a wide open hole right up the middle, and he'll cross the plane for another Comet touchdown.
He was met at the 1 or 2 yard line, but he was able to just get between the 2 defenders and score the touchdown there. And Sora again is showing why he's one of the more memorable players here on this Comets offense, as he came into this game as the GMC leading rusher after rushing for 175 yards last week against Springboro. And he's by far the GMC leading rusher by more than 50 yards. And the extra kick is good here by Sight.
Making it look easy so far is Sora, as he's just about had his way with this Withrow defense. And his yards per carry so far is just ridiculous.
20-0 here by the Comets, and it's just the first quarter. There's only 25 seconds left in this first quarter, and the Comets have just looked unstoppable on offense. And the turnovers by Withrow is really giving them some favorable field position. It's allowing them to make some plays and get the early scores here in the first quarter. But the Comets have really stuck it to the Tigers and really set the tone early in this game.
I mean, we did see Withrow make a stop on the Comets' first possession and force the punt, but ever since that first possession, the Comets have had amazing field position starting on the Withrow side of the field every time. We got the kickoff here now from Sight. And it's going to be a scoop kick right down the middle. Tigers not on the same page, and they're just going to fall on it at the 20. Sideline, we got Aiden Crowley down on the field. What do you got for us, Aiden?
A lot of this Comet offense success has to be attributed to the Mason Comets offensive line. Short yardage, the Comets cannot be stopped. The combination of both Sora and the offensive line has led to these 20 points. Short yardage, the Comets have been dominating.
Thank you, Aiden. 22 seconds still remain in this first quarter, which must feel like an eternity for the Withrow defense. Walker is going to go out in the flats, and it's complete on the wide receiver screen to Tyron Mincy for a gain of about 5.
And Withrow has some playmakers. They've broken some tackles and have made some pretty nice moves out of the backfield. Mincy and Brown have made some good plays here, but it's just the turnovers and the penalties that's holding this offense back. Withrow has some explosive players, but they just haven't gone into a rhythm to start this game. And it looks like it will be the end of the first quarter here here at Dwyer Field.
As the teams will reverse fields, Brian Tyron Mincy is listed at 5'10", 207, but he is very shifty as well. Kind of reminds you a little bit of the combination of speed and power that Sora brings for the Comets. And Mincy has proved that he is not a very easy man to bring down, but he also showed that he has trouble to hold on to the football with that earlier fumble.
He's caused a lot of missed tackles here in this game, and yeah, that turnover there earlier in the quarter really kind of hurt him. But yeah, he's very shifty, very agile. He's able to change position, change feet, change direction very quickly, and it's proved to be a little bit of a headache here for the Comet defenders, as usually you see a first missed tackle every play. But Mincy is shown to be a pretty good playmaker when he has the ball in his hands.
All the Tigers got to do is string together a couple series, a couple set of downs where they can just get through and get a play through without fumbling the football or without putting Walker under pressure where he has to chuck it up deep. They just got to give their playmakers an opportunity.
And you got to get rid of the penalties and the turnovers, because if they want any shot at this game and get some rhythm, they got to avoid.
Walker out to the flats, corrals it, and it's going to be across the 30-yard line, but another penalty flag as Joanne Bates might have been flagged on the play. As we wait on the flag from
holding against the offense, number 3, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, replay second down.
And holding there on the Tigers, and this offense would back up 5-10 yards here. And these penalties have really been the story here for the Withrow Tigers, as it will be 2nd and 14 here for Withrow.
And once again, Withrow just not having an opportunity. Just not having an opportunity for their playmakers to make something happen. Walker. Goes out in the flats, and he'll be hit behind the line of scrimmage and brought down back at the 10-yard line for another loss. Reed Naglich in the backfield to make the play.
Reed Naglich was able to meet him at the ball behind the line of scrimmage. He made that initial contact that allowed Casey Miller to make that tackle behind the line of scrimmage. Brasher and Zaid Hamden were there as well, but Casey Miller finished the job there behind the line of scrimmage. And this Comet defense has looked pretty impressive here to start this game, as they're able to get to the backfield and really disrupt Withrow's offensive playmakers.
Under 11 minutes to play in the first half. Walker looking to pass. It's going to go over the head, and it's going to be intercepted. And that's going to be returned for a touchdown. Just like that, Tyree Mazzell on the outskirt jumped the route. Walker not on the same page with his receiver, and Tyree Mazzell gets a pick 6.
Looked like Walker overthrew his flat receiver there. He was running kind of a little out route there. It overthrew him, and Mazzell was able to get over there and make the play on the ball and catch it. And he had the athletic ability to stay on his feet and get to the touchdown. That's a great play there by Terrell Mazzell, and really just a great athletic play by this Comet defense, as the Comets will go up here by 4 possessions.
Christian Hutchinson sprinting onto the field there for the Comets. Not quite ready to all of a sudden be in field goal formation after a defensive play. Sipe up and good. So the Comets will take a 27-0 lead with all 27 points coming into the last about 7.5, 8 minutes.
And you gotta wonder what's going through Withrow's mind right now, as they're really nothing they can do seems to be going their way, as whether it's a turnover or a penalty, whenever they have a big play, it seems to be called back from whether it's holding or a block in the back, and then they have the turnovers and fumbles, picks there. And you gotta wonder how Withrow's gonna respond here after being down this much early in the game.
It almost seemed like they were trying to force that pass, and Walker has not attempted he has not completed any pass that was not a pass out into the slants. His 2 attempts that went more than 5 yards have both been intercepted, and it is so dangerous to throw across the wide side of the field when you have to throw just so much farther out to the sideline, and he misjudged the distance there, and I mean, you saw 7 points go up for the Comets just like that. Walker cannot afford those kind of mistakes.
Especially against this Comet defense.
Sipe goes deep over the head of the Tigers deep man, and that'll fall into the block for a touchback.
And after all those pooch kicks and squib kicks, Withrow returned, kind of screwed up a little bit, and then Sipe let loose and kicked it over the 2 returners' heads, and there'll be a touchback here for the Tigers. And again, not very favorable field position to start out, but we'll see what the Tigers would do here on this possession as they're trying to claw their way back in this game, trying to get some sort of spark, some sort of momentum to go their way. And let's see if the Tigers can use their playmakers and make a big play happen.
If I'm see here the timeout there from the official. As as you mentioned it, Brian, if I'm Withrow right now, I just keep running the football. They have not found very much success in the passing game, and I think their best shot right now to make something happen and to move the chains against the Comets is to keep it on the ground.
They gotta give it to Mincy and Brown, give it to their 2 playmakers that have, when they had some space to run, they've been able to really make some big plays, but they gotta do some damage here on the ground.
Cool shot you just saw there. Number 6 and number 8, Tyree and Terrell Mazzell, dueling cornerbacks that are also identical twins. And you'd have to imagine that those guys are always on the same page. And they have a special way of communicating with each other, as they are just best friends that are always hanging out. And that also represent the Comets on the field.
They're very good players here on this defense. They've become kind of staples in the secondary. As Tyree's also on the basketball team as well, so they're both very athletic.
Walker comes out of a three running back backfield, ball on the turf, but it at first looked like it was recovered by the Tigers. Now the Comets saying that they have it, and they do. There you go.
Alex Tavella comes up with the fumble recovery, and it's just a deja vu here for the Withrow Tigers. And it's just, they just can't seem to have anything go their way. And
that will be their 5th turnover in about the last 9 minutes of this game. The clock still says 10:28, and the Comets are going to be less than 15 yards away from another 6.
Another good field position start here for the Comets, and looks like Jake Harris and Logan Dalton are checked in the game. So we're seeing some more players here for the Comets trying to make some plays, and let's see what some of these new guys do here in this possession.
And Brian, we still have 34 minutes left to play in this game. We are only a minute and a half into the second quarter, and the Comets are already very comfortably ahead of this Withrow Tiger team. Harris is just going to hand it off to Dalton, who falls forward for a gain of a few.
Looks like he got his feet tripped there, and he was only able to gain a yard or 2 with that. But it'll be interesting to see some of the players like Logan Dalton and Connor Gary get some playing time here. They often have to spell Matt Sora when he gets tired, but Sora's kind of the workhorse of this offense.
There you see 22 Connor Gary jogging onto the field.
Yeah, Gary runs onto the field here. So it'll be interesting to see some of these new guys play and see how they perform here with their newfound playing time.
Harris next to Dalton in the backfield. Tanner Canoe in motion. Harris looking to throw on the slant, and it is caught for a touchdown. That is Austin Croy. Jake Harris and Austin Croy finding one another for Austin Croy's first TD of the year.
Austin Croy was the go-to guy last year, and he's caught his first touchdown pass in this young season, as the connection of Jake Harris and Austin Croy go way back to their Mason Youth football days, as they were on the same team from 2nd grade on. So they have built a pretty significant connection over the years, and it showed on that play.
Sipe, point after, knocks it through. And Brian, you mentioned it. Harris and Croy, we weren't really sure who the number 1 wide receiver was going to be last year. We thought maybe it'd be Cameron Buford, who was the Moeller transfer. But once Preston Hutchinson went down midway through the year and Harris came onto the rotation, it was very clear that Harris had a much better connection with Croy. Harris, Croy, and Sora all have been on the same football team since they were back in 2nd grade playing Mason youth football. And so those 3 guys are very used to handing it off and making connections down the field. And we still have 9 minutes and 41 seconds to play in this first half, where the Comets already up 34-0.
And that connection between those 3 guys has been apparent last year, and we see it again this year. They really know each other's tendencies, and they know how each player thinks, and it's a really deep connection that not a lot of players have at the high school level.
This kick is going to be returned with some room across the 35, and a great return by number 4, Malik Brown.
And he broke 2 or 3 tackles from the Comets there, and he ran over to about the 35-yard line. And a great return there by the Withrow special teams. Maybe this will be the spark that they've been looking for, and maybe they'll dent into this lead before this first half ends. But let's see how Withrow responds to the touchdown from last drive.
And this is a situation where if you're Withrow, you just can't throw this game away. You've got to still work on things that need to be worked on. Withrow calling for another timeout as they're going to talk things over before this drive.
And they have a lot to talk about, it seems like. They got to patch up these turnovers and penalties and find a way to break through in this game, have a big play happen, something to provide a spark here. But if I'm the Comets, I'm very pleased with what I've seen so far in this game. They've really proven themselves, made some big plays, made the most of their opportunities, and we're seeing some second-string players come up here for the Comets, players like Garrison Glover, and really it'll be cool to see what they can do at this stage of the season, as we're used to seeing some of the starters play regularly, but some of these rotational pieces don't always get the playing time. But we'll see some new faces here on this Comet offense and defense, it seems.
Glover isn't the most talented and skilled defensive lineman, but size-wise, he'll match up against just about anyone as the run goes for a gain of about 5 from Malik Brown.
Yeah, he's about 6'4", 6'5". He's a very big player. And the Comets have been trying to work with him over the years, trying to develop his game on the outside defensive end. He was in the offensive line his middle school and maybe even freshman year, but he made the switch to the defensive line, and it looks like it's paid off for him early on.
Zaid Hamden making an impact in the backfield, and definitely made the first contact was Zaid as Mincy had to turn around in the backfield. Hamden with a great penetration here you see on the replay.
Yeah, Zaid was able to make Mincy stumble a little bit. He regained his feet, but it was Ben White Jr. there that finished that play. And he's also another one of those rotational pieces on this Comet defense. And he made the most of that play by Zaid Hamden. He finished the play there. Great play there. Great penetration by this Comet defense.
Another handoff up the middle is going to fall short, which will bring up 4th down for the Tigers. And what I loved on that play from Zaid was that he missed the tackle at first, but as Mincy turned around, Zaid was already right back up and assisting the actual tackle just a few seconds later.
I mean, Hamden's a very big. He's not very big height-wise. He's pretty small for that position, but he's very strong. He's wider than he looks, but he's very strong. He's a wrestler. He also has run track in the spring a few times, and he's faster than he appears. He's a very good defensive lineman. He's able to get to the backfield, shed some blocks, and he was leading the GMC in sacks last year for a majority of the season. He may have finished it as well. but it looks like a timeout's called on the field.
Maybe not. Tigers maybe not on the same page there, as they got to talk about this. Maybe the Comets got to be careful that the Tigers are actually punting it away. If they appear to be doing so, this could be a situation where Tigers just pull one from up their sleeves and goes with a fake.
And they also like to do the QB pooch kick. They did it a few times in last year's matchup. So, but it looks like on this, it'd be a pretty risky move to go on 4th and 11 at this point in the field. But I guess if you're the Tigers, there's not a whole lot to lose here. So maybe they might pull off a fake here. But we'll see what the Tigers do, whether they decide to make a fake. And
punt is going to go away, and it's going to be received at the 40-yard line. And it's going to be a return of about 10 yards on the play.
Very short kick there. It was more of a line drive, and the ball bounced on the turf a few times into the hands of Jack Lenzik. And he was able to make the most of what he had. He had pretty limited spaces. He had to run up and receive that ball. But pretty good return there by Lenzik, and the Comets will have it in Withrow territory at the 49-yard line.
And let's see who comes out, and it's going to be Logan Dalton is going to be your running back, which brings up the question of how much is Sora going to play in this game, if he's going to touch the field anymore at all, as Jake Harris is going to be your quarterback on this series. Trey Knapp next to Harris, with Logan Dalton right behind him. Dalton's going to get the handoff, dances his way across the 50, and gets some solid yardage for a gain of about 5.
Dalton showed some pretty good patience there as he waited for his blockers to go to their matchups, and he was able to cut through one of the holes that were created. And it would be interesting to see the different running styles of these Comet players. But it was a great block there by the 74, Eric Miller, as he allowed Dalton to cut inside. And Dalton looks pretty good here, start from the limited carries he's had.
Comets come out with 4 wide receivers. Dalton behind Harris in the backfield. It's going to be a handoff to Dalton with some room across the 40. And he is dragged down from behind, but he will pick up big yardage on the play as he brings the Comets down inside the Withrow red zone.
Dalton saw the hole emerge immediately, and he sprinted through that hole, and he had wide open space to run. And looked like Alec Dardis was on the block there. His man got a hand on Dalton's jersey. He was able to hold on for an extra few yards. That was a nice explosive run there by Logan Dalton, as he's looked pretty impressive here, finding holes and having that. He has a great initial burst once he sees that hole develop, and he's gone. He has a lot of speed from what I can see, and it showed on that play.
Passing the flat out to Gary. This might go as a carry. Gets across the 15, inside the 10, and he'll be dropped short of the 5-yard line for another Comet first down.
And it'll be 1st and goal here for the Comets, as Gary really didn't have a linebacker or any defensive back pick him up, and he was able to have some space there to run. And looks like Gary will run off to the field there, but that was a nice, might be a carry, but it looked like it was behind the line of scrimmage, so it would be a carry, but it was a nice play there by Gary. It'll be at the 1st and 7 in the goal line here, but great play there by Gary.
2 wide receivers set. Knapp next to Harris. Handoff goes to Dalton, who has some room across the 5, and he'll find his way into the end zone for a Comet touchdown.
I really like what I've seen from Logan Dalton. He's really shown some great playmaking ability here. Great burst through the hole. And he's patient starting out. He's waiting for those blocks to develop. But once he sees that hole, he's gone. That quick burst that we've been talking about here. But that was an impressive run there by Dalton. Great blocking by the O-line. A lot of holes to run through. And they're just adding on to this lead here before the half.
Charlie Sipe lining up to kick this one through. Gets it off cleanly, and it will put the Comet lead to 41-0 here. Still with 6 minutes left in the second quarter. And Brian, one of the reasons that this stretch of this basically last 12 to 13 minute period where the Comets have scored all of these points has basically been because of the Withrow Tigers turning it over and having a lot of incompletions and basically not having any really ball control and running the clock off. As you see, Sora's first touchdown of the day. I believe this would be the second. This is the screenplay.
That was the screenplay that got to the 4-yard line. Great show of blocking there by the O-line and receivers, as he was very close to scoring on that play. Very explosive play there by Sora.
67 was Moser, and this is just plowing straight through, making it look easy, getting across the goal line for his second score of the day.
Sora's really been relied upon by the Comets as the bell cow of this offense, the workhorse. He kind of shared the carries a little bit with Kope last year, but he's really become that lead back this year.
Sipe knocks it deep to Malik Brown, who dances his way across the 25 to the 30.
Malik Brown on the return.
And right now, if you're Withrow, you just got to focus on still running your offense, as you see there, number 38, Brian Whitney on the tackle.
And it'd be interesting to see what Withrow's offense has drawn up here, as they've really been struggling on the passing game, but they put the ball on the ground a lot here in this game, and ball security really has to be emphasized here for the Withrow Tigers if they want to sustain their drives. When they have a good play here and there, they can't hurt themselves with the penalties. But we'll see what this Withrow offense does here before the half ends.
Handoff right up the middle. Mincy on the carry. And you mentioned it, Brian. We got 5 turnovers for the Withrow Tigers, which would be for any team something in a circle if that was the total for the entire game. But the Tigers really struggling as the rain does continue to fall. Can't really see it on the screen, but look up at the lights and you can definitely see the rain falling down onto the field, and definitely probably one of the things that is contributing to the Tigers' ball insecurity. Pass out into the flats, and a great job by the Comets secondary to be right there on the stop.
As minimal gain there for the Tigers, and I would like to see the Tigers take some chances downfield. It hasn't worked yet, but they got to be more aggressive here if they want to put a dent into the score. But maybe a sustained drive is what the Tigers need here for the half. Maybe they probably don't want to give the ball back to the Comets, as they've been pretty good here.
There you can see the rain.
You can see the rain here on your screen as it's picking up a little bit before halftime. But it's definitely playing a factor here in these field conditions and the ball security that we've been seeing.
A little over 4 minutes as another flag comes down by the back judge.
Dead ball foul. Delay a game against the offense, the quarterback. Still third down.
And that's what, the third delay of game we've seen against Withrow, as they've just not been set, not been on the same page on the offensive end.
And you got to wonder, when you have these miscommunications, how it frustrates not only the players but the coaches as well. They go through practice trying to fix these errors, and you see them in the game. And let's see how they patch them up in the remainder of this game.
3rd 11 goes out in the flats for Malik Brown, tries to dance his way but falls over Cole Pierce on the tackle for a gain of about 4 or 5.
And Pierce was the second leading tackler on this Comet team last year, and he's pretty well known for his low tackles. They seem to work pretty much every time, but he's one of the more physical players on this Comet defense, and he really showed it there. He's usually a pretty sure tackler, and he usually secures the tackles on the backfield, but on that play, Pierce looked very good there, and he's kind of stopped the minimal gainage.
Shout out to our sideline reporter, Aiden Crowley, weathering this rain down on the sideline. What do you got for us, Aiden?
So as the rain picks up, it's much of the same for the Comets. The battle of the trenches is being won by the Comets on both sides of the football. The defensive line is breaking through this Withrow offensive line and getting to the quarterback. And on the other end of the ball, they're opening up huge holes for the running backs to get big yardage.
And as you see on your screen here, the rain is really picking up here, more so than it was in the beginning of the game. And it'll be interesting to see how the players deal with these conditions for the remainder of the game.
Comets have 3 minutes and 10 seconds to add to their 41-point lead here before the end of the first half. Harris, the quarterback. It's going to be another handoff to Dalton. Has a small hole and will be met just beyond the line of scrimmage for a gain of 2.
And the Comets ran that out of the pistol formation right behind the late flag here after the play was over. It looked like there was some scuffles and some pushes and shoves after the play, so we'll see what this penalty is, but good stop there by the Withrow Tigers, and let's see what the penalty is.
Excellent shot of the rain, just pelting these players.
But that the officials are discussing what the penalty is and on who it was, but we'll see what the call here is.
Comets starting to walk forward. It's going to be a personal foul against the Tigers. Didn't really specify if it was a face mask, so I'd imagine just kind of a late hit or unnecessary roughness.
Well, the flag was thrown after the play was done, so I'm assuming it was a dead ball foul. Maybe like an unnecessary roughness, unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. But that'll push the Comets to the 38-yard line, and as they line up here in the pistol once again.
Still with 3 minutes to work with. Harris communicating to his offensive line. Clock rolling. Just another handoff up the middle to Dalton, who finds some room and nears the 31-yard line.
And steady yardage for the Comets.
Looked like Connor Gary on the carry.
Connor Gary there, 5-6 yards. It seems to be every play. And we've seen a lot of Logan Dalton from last possession, so we'll see if they rely on Gary in this possession. See how they distribute carries to their running backs as the game goes on.
Nice also to see Will Adams with the headset on talking to Harris, making sure that Harris has all of this communication from the sideline. Harris with 2 men in the backfield once again. He's going to hand off to Trey Knapp, who falls over the line of scrimmage for a gain of 1.
And Knapp was hit behind from behind, as he looked like he didn't have enough for the first down. Waiting on what the officials rule. It looks like it'll be third and short, and see if the Comets can convert here on third down. They haven't had many third downs here in this game, but let's see how they do in this situation.
Minute and a half and ticking on the clock. Comets still comfortable with a large lead. Harris looking to pick up first down here. And they're trying to go with the hard count, and they got the outside linebacker right there. Looked like it might have been 42, Jaden Love on the play.
And this really has been the story of this game.
Encroachment against the defense. Penalty yard, first down.
And that's just something that Withrow's got to control. Love the only player that moved, but the entire defense has to be disciplined enough where they can hold their own.
Football is one of the big team games for most sports, and it really showed that you have to rely on every player, whether all 11 players on the field there, and that showed there on that play.
Handoff outside 20, 15, 10, gets the block, and Logan Dalton finds the end zone for a second time today.
And Logan Dalton there had some nice speed there, turned on the jets on the outside as he was able to burst through that hole there. And another touchdown here for the Comets, as pending the extra point, they have already tied their score from last season's game at 48.
As we wait on the point after from Sight, 48 seconds still on the clock, so you'd imagine Withrow coming the other way would try to do something offensively. Sight getting some work today. This one goes up and through as he remains perfect on the point afters, with the only miss being on the missed hold from Adams. And we'll throw it down to our sideline reporter once again, Aiden Crowley, down next to the Comets.
In a 48-0 game, you think it'd be all smiles on the Mason sideline, but just how competitive the Comets are, the coaches are talking about blocks and stuff, little things, and they're talking to players about like who they should have picked up on that block. That just goes to show you the competitiveness and the willing to learn from mistakes from the Comets in a 48-0 ball game.
Always room to improve, no matter what the score is.
Ever since he's been here at Mason, Kastner has always had that no-nonsense mentality. He's very tough on his players, and I find that not to be very surprising at all. He's a very serious coach, and this really, in his coaching staff, really reflects that mentality.
Sipe with a squib kick goes straight to Malik Brown as stumbles and is going to be brought down on the play. It's going to be Koffold on the return for the Tigers.
It was returned by Jawan Bates. He was brought down by
Excuse me, number 3, Jawan Bates on the play.
Bates was able to, didn't have much to work with. He kind of stumbled once he picked the ball up, but looks like Jalen Crawford was able to make the tackle there for the Comets as at the 24-yard line. And with 42 seconds left in this game, let's see how Withrow will manage to clock the closest half.
All smiles from the block hole, Mason Comets student section. Comets get to the line. 42 seconds on the clock remaining in this first half. Tigers hand off up the middle. Mincy stumbles and falls for a gain of nothing. And that'll keep the clock rolling as Withrow has used all 3 of their timeouts. So the Mason Comets perfectly okay with this clock rolling out. And what would likely be either one more play to end the first half.
And there doesn't seem to be a really huge sense of urgency on the Tigers side as well, as maybe they're in the huddle right now. They just broke it, and we're approaching 10 seconds left in this half, and let's see what they have dialed up here to end the half.
It's another handoff to Mincy as he's going to be stopped down the line once again, as it looks like Withrow is just going to be looking to go back to the locker room, lick their wounds, and see what they can do in the second half.
And Comets are running to their locker room after putting up a 48-0 first half. A lot of impressive performances here in this first half. We saw Sora and Dalton score multiple times in the end zone. We saw a lot of players on the field for the Comets. And it really has been all Mason Comets here in this first half, as Withrow is really unable to get any sort of momentum started. And they just looked outmatched here by the Comets.
And definitely the turnovers from Withrow, 5 of them in the first half, definitely contributed to the rapid pace at which the Comets were able to score so quickly and so frequently, already matching their total from a season ago in which the Comets won 48-6. And shout out to the fans for sticking around in the rain to cheer on their Comets as Withrow has the long walk back to the locker room to do something in the second half. That's going to be it for us in this first half. If you're listening on Mixler and Mason Sports Radio, we'll be back in about 20 minutes for this second half. And we'll be back right after this halftime report. We welcome you back here to Atrium Field. The rain has picked up here in the second half as we're a minute away from the second half going here in Comet Country. As you see just a few of the highlights from the first half in which the Comets dominated the Withrow Tigers as they lead 48-0 here, as we're going to be looking at a second half full of running clocks, as I'd imagine Withrow's just trying to get out of here, get out of the rain, get out of the soaking wet. I'm Joey Deaton. Alongside me is Brian Hudnell, and we have had the pleasure of the Comets dominating this one today, looking fantastic on both ends of the football.
Absolutely. Really, not a whole lot has gone wrong for the Comets, if anything. Comets really dominate on rushing the football, having 2 touchdowns from Sora and 2 touchdowns from Dalton and a few from Adams as well. And it really has been all out. It really has been a great game here for the Comets. Really have set the tone of this game and really have capitalized off Withrow's mistakes and turnovers. And We'll see what they have in store here in the second half, but really it was an all-out game here for the Comets. Really had their way here, and let's see if more is in store here in the second half.
And we're being told that it is the rain has picked up, and it is raining now harder than it did all of the first half, which is just some more misery for these fans and for the Withrow players as they are looking at a 48-0 deficit as they're going to be receiving the second half kickoff.
They already had trouble with some turnovers in the first half, and this rain isn't going to help here in the second. So let's see how they manage the weather here in the second half and see if they can hold on to the ball in the second half.
It's a squib kick up the middle, and almost muffed on the return as he's going to fall on it at the 29-yard line as the Comet defense jogs onto the field.
And it'll be interesting. It looks like the starters may start the second half, but as the game goes on, we'll probably see more and more players here rotate in. But we see a majority of the starters here begin the second half on the Comet side for defense. And let's see how Withrow responds. See if they make any adjustments, anything new here in this half here. And they're currently in their huddle now. The Comets are kind of jumping around, staying warm in this cold rain. And as Withrow breaks the huddle, they have two wide receivers out on the left.
As after the change of possession, the clock began to roll for the running clock. Now
Their first of the half.
not really. And the official there having a little bit of trouble with his mic, which is what you heard. And I'm not really sure why Withrow's taking the timeout here. You come out of the half, and somebody must have not been on the same page, lined up in the wrong spot. And that's just a coach's nightmare that he's probably laying on his guys in the locker room to come out, and they're not set.
Yeah, never want to see that when you're a coach. Something that can be controlled like that, formations, discipline. That's something you go over in practice every day, and seeing it on the field really is frustrating on not just by the coaches but the players as well. They've gone through this in practice, but another penalty there, but another blown time out there by Withrow.
Going to be handoff to Mincy. Tackled by Evans on the play. Defensive lineman Chase Evans wearing the number 7 that Alex King just retired from the Comets. King now redshirting his freshman year at the University of Kentucky.
And King was a staple on this Comets defense, man. He constantly made plays behind the line of scrimmage, forced some turnovers, and he was a very fun play to watch here in Comet Country.
Another handoff for another short gain for the Tigers. As coming up into this half with a big factor into this was granted that the Tigers had a couple fumbles that went for negative yardage, which technically counts as rushing yards. But if you totaled up all those runs and yardage from the first half, the Tigers would have negative 28 rushing yards from that first half.
And that really tells the story of this game. I mean, nothing has gone Withrow's way, whether it's the turnovers or the rushing yards. You can name a lot of stats that didn't go their way, but looks like there's a fumble on the snap here, but it looks like Withrow was able to pick it up.
Dejon Walker, the quarterback for the Tigers. And I mean, for those of you watching on ICRC, you can just see the rain pouring down as he had the ball right in his hands and it slipped right out. And we have the pleasure of having a sideline reporter down on the sideline as we have an injured player right now, Aiden Crowley, who's weathering the storm down there. Aiden, how's the weather going right now?
Well, the weather is not ideal. I'm sitting down here, and of course, as soon as I headed out, it started to rain even harder, and it has not stopped getting harder. As Cole Pierce, number 23, is down on the play, but he's getting helped up by traders. And hopefully that's a tough sight to see for the Comets, but hopefully he'll be fine and it'll just be a short-term injury here.
Thanks, Aiden. And that's something you really worry about if you're the Mason coaching staff, having your starters on the field on a slippery field, and the risk of injury is one of their primary concerns right now.
And especially for a player like Cole Pierce, one of the better defensive players here. But hopefully he's all right. He's plays a very important role at safety. But yeah, you don't want to see injuries like this, especially in the game where it's 48-0. It's well out of reach. But hopefully hopefully the injury's minor for Pierce and he'll find some playing time. Probably not in this game, but in the game against Sycamore and so on.
Comets with Dardis and Lensick back deep to receive a punt. Tigers get it away clean, but it is high. Ball is going to fall into the hands of Lensick, who fields it cleanly. Breaks a couple tackles, gets across the 40. And some nice job running there from Lensick, breaking through some arm tackles.
Lensick had a nice cut there that had a few men miss, made a few men miss there. And he showed some burst, he showed some quick change of direction there. And he was able to take in that return in the pouring rain and a very high kick. So that was a pretty impressive return there by Lensick, especially in this pouring rain here. As he was able to make a few moves there and have some nice return yardage here as they're close to midfield. But that was a nice return there by Jack Lensick.
10 yards from the end of the run. First down, Comets.
Pierce doesn't look good. They got a lot of trainers around him.
We're being told that Cole Pierce on the sideline, unfortunately being tended to, as it appears to be a relatively serious injury at the time. And we'll try to give you more updates as our sideline reporter, Crowley, gets those updates from the sideline. Comets at 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line after the holding penalty. Jake Harris out there for the Comets. Hands it off to Dalton left side, who gets around the corner and will pick up yardage close to another first down.
And I like what I've seen from Dalton in this game. He's a very patient runner, but once he sees the hole develop, he is gone. He turns on another gear and runs to the outside. He has a quick change of speed, and it's really giving Withrow a lot of headaches in this game. And really giving him a lot of headaches and really they're trying their best to contain him on the outside, but he breaks through it every time. As he gained an impressive 8 yards there.
Working on his right leg right now, and he's laying down. He's not on his own weight.
Second down carry. Dalton once again. And Dalton in that first half ran the ball 6 times for 66 yards, 11 yards a carry, as he picked up another first down by himself on the play.
And he had 2 scores there as well, and he looked very impressive in that first half. And he has wasted no time in this second half as he's burst a few impressive runs here in the second half. And looks like he stays in the ball game here behind Harris at quarterback, but he has really shown a few impressive plays here in this game.
And that's going to be another flag for delay of game as Harris got some word from the sideline.
Foul. Delay a game. Mason, number 12, still first down.
And unfortunately, that was I think the 3rd time that's happened for the Comets in this game. Harris trying to make some changes. As you see there, Cole Pierce, who was just injured, now standing on his feet. It looks like he's maybe holding his hamstring or his lower leg, and starting to walk around, which is good news for the Comets. Off to Dalton again. Get some of the delay of game yardage back, and he'll fight his way close to the original line of scrimmage.
And Dalton was able to hide behind his blockers there and finally hold a run through, and he almost got those penalty yards back, but Withrow had some pretty good, were able to shed some blocks there and push Dalton back after gaining a few yards, but it'll be 2nd and 11 here for the Comets.
2nd and 11 for the
And
Comets.
they're lined up here in the pistol.
Harris It looked like he gave it off there to Gary, who got stuffed in the backfield.
As he had 3 or 4 Tigers there in the backfield, really had nowhere to go, as he will lose about a yard or 2 there on that play, as Gary really had nowhere to go, as 3 Tigers fell on top of him there once he had the ball.
Teams dealing with not only the rain but the wind, as the wind is now gusting. Weather Channel told us to be 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, really affecting the players out there. Harris, handoff right up the middle for a gain of maybe 2. That's going to bring up 4th down for the Comets.
Nothing much doing there for the Comets, as it was a short gain of maybe 2 yards by Gary. And it'll be a 4th down punt here from Reed Naglitch. He hasn't been all that busy on the punting side of things, but he's been on defense making some key tackles for the Comets. But see how Naglitch goes here this year, as he had a pretty crucial punt in the playoff game against Elder last year, as it went to the 1 yard line. So he bobbles the snap, but it gets the ball off.
Nice job by Naglitch to get it away clean. And Joanne Bates for the Tigers, back deep to return, and able to fall on it to set up Withrow in this possession.
And pretty quick burst to get to that punt return. It was a pretty short. It was a high punt, but it was pretty short, so he had to run up and get there. He was able to secure the ball and kind of fall down, so he wouldn't bobble the ball. But yeah, Withrow have the ball here at the 36-yard line. See if they can put something in the scoreboard.
A lot of backups in for the Comets, especially after seeing that Cole Pierce scare. And run up the middle for Withrow. And he's going to be stopped by just about the entire field.
It looked like Ben White there, and as well as Charles Sipe, the kicker, playing linebacker. And there were a lot of other Comets there as well, as Comets really swarmed to the ball carrier there, as Mincy kind of ran into his blockers and cut to the other side. But Comets defense is picking up right where they left off here in the first half, as they were able to stop Mincy for a gain of 4.
That's I believe Brown in at quarterback. He's going to take it himself, cross the 40, cross the 45 for enough yardage for a 1st down, which, believe it or not, is their 2nd 1st down of the entire game, and their 1st since the very first play from scrimmage.
It looked like the switch to Brown there gave him a little more different tempo here for the Tigers, and he was able to get around Garrison Glover on the outside and kind of cut forward there and get that 1st down. But Brown looked very shifty there at the quarterback. I wonder if the Tigers would use him going forward.
Hands it off up the middle, and Mincy will be stopped for negligible gain. Excuse me, not Mincy on the play, but we do. Our sideline reporter, Aiden Crowley, got some more information for us. What do you got down there, Aiden?
Well, it looks like both teams are going strictly running for this 2nd half, as we're already down to 2:54 left in this 3rd quarter with that running clock, and I would expect much of the same to continue, as both teams I don't think are looking to pass that much in this 2nd half.
Thank you, Aiden. As definitely Withrow not finding a lot of success in the passing game in the first half, had just 21 yards from scrimmage, and I mean it was more positive than what they did from the ground game, but still not a lot of success. Plus, Dejon Walker threw 2 picks, and one of them was returned by Terrell Mazzell for a touchdown.
Looked like Ben Libby, the defensive tackle there, was able to get behind his man, and he was able to tackle him behind the line of scrimmage, and lost a few yards there for the Comets there. And then it'll be 3rd and 11 here for the Tigers, and let's see how they respond here after converting their last 3rd down.
3rd and 11, and it's going to be a mishandled snap. Brown picks it up, now trying to make something happen, and he just runs out of room and swarmed by the Comets. That'll bring on the punt teams for both teams.
Really nowhere to go as that ball went back 7, 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage, more than that actually, like 10 yards. And Brown really had nowhere to go. He had a sea of green in front of him, and he was stopped for a loss of about 9 yards there, as it'll be 4th and 17 for the Withrow Tigers.
And another bad snap. This one, punt off the side of the foot, immediately caught by Casey Miller, number 4. A nice heads-up play there as the ball went straight to him, and he was able to catch it and take off running with it. So something that he may never see again as a guy rushing the punter. See the replay here as off the side of the foot, went straight to Casey Miller, and he took that one, and it might be his only opportunity ever to have that happen to him, and he ran with it. So the Comets are going to have great field position once again.
That'll definitely be a popular play in the locker room for the Comets, as Casey Miller is the starting defensive end on Comets defense. So it was a great reaction play there by Miller as the ball went off the side of the punter's foot. He was able to catch it almost instantly, and he was able to get a few yards out the return. So an impressive show of athleticism there for Casey Miller.
Third string quarterback for the Comets, Colin Brown, into the game. Gives the handoff off to number 22, Connor Gary.
And with Harris and Adams both being senior quarterbacks, Colin Brown looks to be the future of this Mason football program, as it'll be beneficial for him to get some early snaps in his career. But yeah, he looks to be the future next year, as Adams and Harris will both graduate.
Brown in the pistol for the Comets, 4 wide receiver set. Gives the handoff left side. And that'll go for about a gain of 8 as Gary gets the carry once again.
And that run will end the third quarter here as the running clock speeds things up a bit. And no scores here in the third quarter, but both teams are kind of slowing down the pace and just running the ball. But it looks to be a very looks to be the same here in the fourth quarter, but not much happened here in the third quarter after a very eventful first half.
Still have 12 minutes to play here in Dwyer Field. 12 minutes to take off still. And some more information is that Cole Pierce was cramping up, and that's what caused the injury on the play, and he's fine now. There you see on the screen for the ICRC watchers the replay times for this matchup. And the Comets really dominating all assets of the game, as very few flaws for the Comets, really winning the battle in the trenches, as shout out to one of Sports Radio's own, Eric Miller.
And really the only thing that I've noticed from the Comets is the delay of game, but you gotta wonder how the weather is affecting that. Maybe they're not really looking at the clock with the rain going in all sorts of different directions. But other than that, the Comets have really dominated this game in all facets, and they look to do the same here in the fourth quarter.
3rd and 2 for the Comets, Colin Brown. Clock already rolling. 3rd and 2 from the 15. Pretty important down for a sophomore quarterback. Going to hand it off again to Connor Gary, who breaks a tackle and finds first down yardage to keep the ball rolling for the Comets and move the chains.
In the same sort of situation last year, Connor Gary was able to score with the second and third string offense in last year's matchup, and looks to be a similar situation this year. I would not be surprised at all if Gary kind of breaks one here and scores a touchdown. He did it in last year's matchup as well.
I think he had 1 carry last year for 20 yards and a touchdown. As it's going to be 1st and goal for the Comets from the 10-yard line. Colin Brown with 2 wide receivers out to the right. Hand off once again to Gary, who has a small hole, and he'll fall forward for a gain of 4. And we're going to throw it down once again to our sideline reporter. Got to give him something to do down there, freezing on the sideline. Aiden Crowley. Aiden, what you got for us?
Yep, and the Comets just keep pounding the football, and even with this second and third string in, nothing changes. That just goes to show you the depth in this Mason lineup, and able to win on this offensive line, and obviously the running backs able to find those holes and get yards.
Substitutions running onto the field late, as Brown's just going to hand it off once. Actually, he's going to keep it, trying to roll out to the right. Broken a tackle in the backfield, and now he'll be taken down. And just to show you how the Tigers might be just exhausted, is the tackle was made by Jawan Bates, who has been one of the primary playmakers on offense for the Tigers, has returned every punt, and has started, I think, most of this game at the cornerback position.
Yeah, Withrow doesn't have the depth that the Comets do, as it looks like a sea of green on the Comets sideline. It's a very short number of people on that Withrow sideline. They have talented players, but they're probably very fatigued playing both sides of the football. And I can see it, especially in a weather situation like this.
3rd and 6. And a late flag. And a couple players pushing after the whistle. Gary gained a couple yards, which should bring up 4th down, barring the penalty. Officials still conferring with one another.
And as they're discussing over this, the running clock still continues to run.
Face mask foul against the defense. 5 yards. 3rd down. Replay the down.
The Comets will be within the 5-yard line with another chance to punch it in. And unless the Comets want to give Charlie Sipes some more target practice, I'd imagine that the Comets are just going to try to punch it in here.
Looks like they're trying to get. Looks like Dalton has checked into the game after it's been Gary for a majority of this drive. So looks like Gary might get this carry here.
Dalton finds his way through the hole, stopped at the 1. We're waiting on the call, and they'll say that he was stopped just short of the goal line, as Dalton is trying to chase that 3rd touchdown to match the number 3 on his jersey.
And we'll see what the Comets do on the 4th and short, whether they'll give it to Sipe or...
No movement right now over to the sideline, as Comets are going to go for it. I'd imagine just another Dalton handoff right up the middle. Brown. Dalton has a hole. He's met at the 1, but he will fall forward in the end zone for a Comet touchdown, his 3rd of the day.
And you gotta like what we've seen from Logan Dalton, filling in the carries for Sora, giving him some much needed some rest. Dalton has really looked impressive throughout this game, having 3 touchdowns to his name. He's shown some pretty great bursts on the outside, making some playmaking, shown some playmaking abilities. But he's really ran the ball well. I've liked what I've seen from him. He's a very patient runner. But once he sees the hole goes, man, he is gone. He has a lot of speed and quickness, and it's shown in this game.
Sid Chaudhry on to attempt the extra point. It is good. A little bit of an awkward kick, but it is knocked through. As you see the reaction, a great reaction from the offensive line as that one hits through the uprights.
And Chaudhry isn't the regular kicker, so with a lead like this, giving him some game time here. And he makes his first extra point this season, and the Comets clearly responded to him after that play as he kicked it through the uprights.
Tanner Canoe, the varsity basketball player in the winter, had a great game last week against Springboro. It's been a little quiet tonight, but not a lot of passing. He was the placeholder on that kick, which is one of the reasons the Comets were so excited that the ball was able to make it through the uprights. As Brooks Curran, another kicker on this roster, a sophomore on this roster, is going to kick it off. And Malik Brown, after initially muffing it, is going to have some room across the 40 before being tripped up and tackled by Jack Lensick on the kickoff coverage.
Brown was able to break some tackles there on that return. He showed some great bursts and had some great moves towards the sideline. And he has broke arm tackle after arm tackle and was tackled there by Jack Lensick at the end. But a good field position here to start for the Withrow Tigers. And they'll start there at the 44-yard line.
And I mean, if I'm the Tigers, I'm just trying to do anything in my power to prevent that goose egg from showing up in the stat sheets after the game. It's currently 55-0. The Comets lead with 6 minutes and 20 seconds remaining to take off in this game. As it's going to be a handoff to Mincy, and he's going to gain a good yardage and pick up another Withrow first down.
A.J. Krause there on the tackle on the defensive line there. He's only a sophomore, so we're seeing a lot of youth here on the field for the Comets, seeing some sophomores and some juniors here that don't get regular playing time, and they're getting the opportunity to play here in this early in the season.
Handoff up the middle. And the ball carrier was number 42, who is not on our roster. Or 46, who is not. 45 is Jameel Clark for the Tigers. As there just remain 5.5 minutes left in this fourth quarter.
And the Tigers are on the Comets side of the field in this drive.
And there, the ball was dropped on the field. Little reaction from the Withrow and the Comets sidelines, but that was just a turnover by the Tigers, and the Comets have the football.
Jack Hagledge was able to fall on that ball. See, he was able to shield Brown from falling on that ball, and another turnover here for the Withrow Tigers. That's been their Achilles heel in this game. But the Comets will get the ball close to midfield to start this drive.
Unless I'm mistaken, turnover number 6 for the Tigers. Comets have been pretty mistake-free with the exception of a few penalties. Dalton, the ball carrier, I believe, was stopped in the backfield.
Swarm of Tigers stopped him behind the line of scrimmage. That's a loss of well over about 5 yards. And really had nowhere to go there, as he had 2 or 3 Tigers in the backfield right when he got the ball. Really had nowhere to go.
Backup offensive line as well as backup field positions. Comets always with a never-ending supply of players. So you see the, for those of ICRC watchers, the rain on the camera, and now the rain continuing to fall against these players. Colin Brown still out there, the sophomore quarterback. And Colin kept it across the 40 to the 45. He's going to get decent yardage, close to another first down. And they're going to bring up third and manageable for the Comets.
And that fooled a lot of Withrow defenders there as they followed Gary on the fake. Looked like it was like a little fake handoff there. And it had the QB boot to the left side of the field. And that was the wide side of the field. So Brown had a lot of room to run as he ran past midfield. And that was a good run there by Brown as it made it only third and 4.
3rd and 4 from midfield. 3 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. Brown will hand it off to Connor Gary, who is met in the backfield for a loss, and that'll bring up 4th down. But the clock does continue to roll. 3 minutes and 10 seconds left in this ball game as the running clock is going to keep moving on as the Comet punt team comes onto the field.
And it looked like Gary just ran into a brick wall there. He had nowhere to go. Looked like 54 Warwick missed the block there, but Comets will not convert on this 3rd down, and looks like Reed Naggers will be out there to punt.
Going to be important for Night English to get this snap cleanly. Long snapper Brian Whitney, both seniors. As punt is blocked, and the ball is going to be recovered by Withrow at the 25-yard line of the Comets, as Reed just took a little bit too long to get that punt away, trying to handle it in the rain. And number 25 for Withrow, Isaiah Houston, was able to come in and make the play.
And this is by far Withrow's greatest chance of getting onto the scoreboard here. And with 2 minutes and 26 seconds left in this game, they'll get their ball at the Comet 26-yard line. And let's see if the Tigers can break through and put some points on the board before this game runs out.
And you just know that Kastner is livid about that play, trying to prevent any possible mistake. And that's going to be one that he's going to circle that the Comets need to take care of. Malik Brown, still the quarterback, going to take it himself, but he dropped the football. It's going to be another fumble that is going to be recovered by the Comets, and the Comets get it right back.
Looked like it was Daniel Jackson on the fumble recovery. He's only a sophomore, and that's got to be a pretty cool play for him, as looked like the ball just fell out of Brown's hand. Maybe the ball was a little slippery, but it looked like someone got their hand in there and jarred the ball loose, as which allowed Jackson to fall on the ball. But if you're Withrow, I mean, that was probably your best shot at scoring here.
And I think that's going to be the last opportunity, as the Comets are going to be able to come out and just run a few plays. And with only 1 minute and 40 seconds left, Withrow can call a timeout, but at this point, they're just looking to get home. Brown with the handoff up the middle, and I think the Comets are going to need 2 more plays, as they're hovering around that 1:20 mark to go here in this game. The Comets lead the Withrow Tigers 55-0.
And really, it was just all Comets in this game. They really had their way, and I was very impressed that the Comets have so many playmakers on the offensive side of the football, whether it was Sora, Logan Dalton, Connor Gary. Each player had their moment here in this game and really showed their depth in this game. And multiple plays were made, and it was very impressive showing for this Comet offense.
You'd have to imagine that Logan Dalton is going to see a better share of carries next week against Sycamore than he would have without this performance tonight, as Gary gains a few more yards, as there a flag there for I think a late contact. Gary, I think he thought he hadn't touched the ground, so he tried to keep running. But that does continue to roll the clock here with the running clock, and this might actually end the game unless the officials try to get them rolling here. And it's going to be a personal foul against the Tigers. But the clock now rolls at 15 seconds, and I think the Comets are going to just let the clock roll out here, as the play clock hasn't started. And now the Comets jogging to the sideline, and that's going to be the final play here at Dwyer Field, as the Comets take the win over the Withrow Tigers by a final score of 55-0 on a mistake-stricken game for the Tigers. A cold, windy, and rainy night here in Comet Country, and the Tigers are going to have a long ride back, as they're going to have a lot of mistakes to correct for next week.
Withrow had, whether it was the penalties, the turnovers, whenever they seemed to have something go their way, like the next player to play after that, they'd have a fumble or a penalty that just stalled all their momentum. And they have a lot to fix, but an impressive showing by the Comets offensively and defensively as well.
Black Hole came out strong tonight and really stuck around through to the end, as they got to see their Comets win 55-0. As that's going to do it for us here in Comet Country. The Comets with a dominating win over the Withrow Tigers, 55-0. Until next time, I'm Joey Dean alongside my partner, Brian Hudnell. We'll see you.